And going back to the plaques, especially this one for instance, which had been done in a decorative wooden frame, which is original to the time. I had a letter here from Buckingham Palace from 1918 which depicted the regiment number. That is Lance Corporal W.L. Jenkins of the Yorkshire Regiment. It then reads, many that, that the person had gone many months of trial and tribulations, and then early rescue, that he rescued many of his own gallant officers, and also he tried to drag his own officer from the middle of the field unsuccessfully. It was signed at the bottom by King George. And also you get a original certificate from the parish of Radier, and it was a certificate that was presented to Corporal Jenkins by the parishioners of Radier, and heartfelt thanks and in token of great appreciation of the noble and voluntary services rendered when duty called to defend the King's home and country, signed on behalf of the parishioners, and it was signed by the chairman of the parish council. And as well, you'll see the postcard from Germany, where it was sent to, where he was killed. And then you have as well another written letter stated from the King commands me to assure you of the true sympathy of His Majesty and the Queen in your sorrow. He who has lost you more and died in the noblest of causes. His country will be ever grateful to him for the sacrifice he has made for freedom and justice. And it was signed Sir Winston Churchill, Secretary of State of War. These were sent out with every death penny to every single family what received them. And the other penny, what we've got, is for Albert Edward Neveson. Similar design, not been polished, which is always the best idea. That you should never polish these items because it can often degrade the value of the item and sometimes cause irreplaceable damage. And from the information what I've got here, that is placed on pier and face 11A and 11D from Thiepval Memorial. He was son of Mr and Mrs Neveson of the Chestnuts Peacock in Peterborough. His date of death was 14th of the 7th 1916, and he had only been 21 at the time, and he was attached to the Northamptonshire Regiment. In the information from the Isle of War Memorial, what's compiled by P. Field Vicar of Eye, it states that Lance Corporal, service number 13931, 6th Northamptonshire Regiment, reported missing, believed killed in action, 14th of July 1916. Son of Mr and Mrs Neveson of Eye. The first intimation of bad news came from the fact of a photograph of Mr and Mrs C. Love being found on the battlefield, with no trace of the soldier to whom it belonged. For years it was hopeless and safe until Mr C. Neveson finally received some more of his possessions also found, finally proving he'd been killed. As before, he's been commemorated on the Thiepval Memorial in the Somme at France. And then here we'll have a picture of him and how he looked at the time. Some of the medals that was given out to soldiers, you'd have 1914-15 star, which was engraved at the back with the regiment number, the person it was awarded to. This one's Private H. Picker of the Lincolnshire Yeomanry Regiment. And as it states, that is a private, is in the Royal Engineers based on the Cheshire Regiment. Now these was often given to either wounded or posthumously given to soldiers that had died. More often than not that you could get these two other examples of medals. Now, it can be very rare for you to get a full set of medals with sometimes a death flash. Now, good examples of these, a full set of medals and a death penny, would often set you back up to and beyond £1,000. Depending on the rank and regiment, that will grow considerably higher.